Hi, I'm Glenn Collins and I'm with John Stokdyk, and we're talking about professional accounts of the future. We've talked about niche accounting and we've talked about some of the areas around niche accounting. We're now moving on to digital marketing, and I know that's one of the areas that a lot of people out there will be skeptical about. You see a lot of benefit in face-to-face and client referrals, but I get a lot of feedback. Why should I do digital marketing? What's the real benefit coming through?
Well, Glenn, I could refer you back to the top 5 trends of the practice excellence entrance over the past 5 years, and you're right, referrals still, and word of mouth, still the highest, surefire way of developing your firm. But actually, if you look at our top 5 trends, trend 4 and 5 was website upgrades, SEO, and was one of them, and then events, face-to-face things. But if I started picking up all the other content marketing and blogs, social media, all the different digital things and content things people are doing, probably that activity as a whole matches what's going on in the referral area. And basically, they're not actually opposed to each other. It's a marketing strategy. They should connect. If you look at the chart, actually, there was a point 2 years ago or 3 years ago, now 2014, where suddenly there was an emphasis on face-to-face, and the website activity dipped. They were kind of in opposition. You went face-to-face or you invested in your website. In the years since, they've actually now moved in parallel and merged. And that is firms waking up, is you don't just do the one or just do the other. So actually in the real world, there's a lot of marketing activity going on. Whether it's effective or not, you have a look at the chart again, because that bottom red line is the number of people who using CRM systems are showing us that they can tell us where they've tracked where their clients have come from. And that's it's not even 30% of the people who've entered the Practice Excellence Awards. So there's a lot of marketing activity, but how effective it is, not everyone can tell us.
And I suppose that's an area where I get feedback from both those who are really into digital marketing and see real benefits, and they can point to the fact they've got clients on the back of this, as opposed to those who've said, I see no benefit at all. And I suppose for me, it's quite difficult sometimes when we're looking at that and we're looking at professional services firms. It becomes an awful lot easier when you're looking at businesses, particularly something like, retail, online sales and the like, where you have really sophisticated models where you can look and you can track the benefit going through, and actually you can do your marketing off of who's hovering over what or who may purchase what. Professional service firms are slightly different, and so they haven't embraced digital marketing perhaps as much as they should have, or perhaps some have.
Well, indeed, you're selling knowledge and a slightly more intangible products, but those products, it is possible to embody them on the web. That's the content that firms are putting out. The website isn't the be and all of your digital marketing effort. It's sort of the hub. It's the portal. It's where you want to get people back to and then trigger an action from them. So the blogs and in the accounts, they had 300 different pieces of advice and guidance for their clients. You can bet that, and James Poyser told me, they sit and look at who's looking at which guide, and it doesn't always, it isn't always the one they think they think this is the important issue, but the clients will look at another one, and that immediately gives them a clue, a steer as to where the market is moving. So it's intangible, it's knowledge, but you can measure it, and that is the crux. The good firms are looking at those indicators and using other ways to sample and track people through their customer journey. It is a very parallel process, but it just starts more with having a website with good content and that people arrive to. You may then go out and do social activity to get in front of the kinds of customers you want. And Jen Gerard, we've talked about it, Gerard Financial Consulting, she's invested in specific marketing programs and she's got tools that will allow her to pick up those people and track them where she's found them on Twitter and engaged with them there. And if they do come back and hit her website, she'll know them already and she'll capture them, and they become a prospect in her digital marketing system. So the switched on firms are using all the same kind of online tools as a normal retailer, and that's the way digital marketers in the profession should think.
And you mentioned that's how digital marketers in the profession should think. So do you need to be an evangelist? Because I think a lot of people are under considerable pressure and they tend to get involved more in the work, more in a comfort area, shall we say, because perhaps accountants aren't the best at marketing what they do going forward. I speak from probably personal experience.
But also they know the product best of all.
Yeah.
So that's where it starts from. I mean, there's the old joke in my business, so the online marketing business, is anyone who calls themselves a web guru isn't. It can. I mean, I think the people who are at the pathfinders, the cutting edge, and really getting into the stuff, they are evangelists and they are enthusiasts. They love what these tools can do, and they really push them. They experiment and push with them. You don't have to go that far to be an effective digital marketer. You can experiment somewhere in, closer to your comfort zone. Just the LinkedIn group, and go find a good LinkedIn group where you feel you see the right kinds of people you want, and you may you may learn from it. Don't just go in expecting you shall be pontificating and that shall magically draw them to you. Actually form a relationship and interact with them. Learn, the more the more you give away, the more you get, and it works both ways. So that establishes your credibility. And you can just experiment with somewhere you like, and if it doesn't work, not for you. Try another avenue, but take little steps and experiments and learn as you grow.
And as we discussed earlier, that entire niche area must be a ripe area to actually look at. And you've mentioned a couple of the good accountants who actually work in this and gather research in this, and it then gathers other information they put out, which gives clients always the impression that they're actually on top of their game, they're ahead of their game moving forward. So is that one of the real benefits? I would see it as a benefit in getting that message out to clients. Would you see that as a benefit? Is that coming through in your entries and your research?
It's so simple, and Alan Woods at Woods & Co. sort of said this. He said it in his entry last year. The biggest impact they had at his firm was just having clarity about the key services they offered for marketing purposes. And that was, they did auto-enrollment, they did virtual finance director, they were behind cloud accounting, and just working out that's what they had to offer, and that's what they wanted to offer, and that's where they wanted to get the new clients, and making that the core of their marketing effort. It's the clarity. It's knowing why you want to do that, and once you have that clarity, start planning. I want to promote this service, so where will I find the clients? And again, sort of taking steps towards your target, and I guess setting targets and measuring your progress towards those goals. So I want to get 10 new clients in this sector over the next year, and see how have I achieved that at the end of the year.
So I suppose, those days of that standardized web platform with no interaction on at all is dying. That's kind of expected now. We see a lot of firms actually go down that route and just have that one platform to go to. The next phase, we're going to see far more interaction, and we already are for some of those more sophisticated firms.
And that is, sophisticated firms are already doing it, and they have portals and they have mechanisms and prods and nudges and all those great words. And you can bet that making tax digital is going to impose this on everyone. So, it's not just going to be for the leaders. You've got to really bring all your clients into that environment soon.
So what would you summarise as being the key areas, a firm should look at where they're actually wanting to enter and wanting to put in place a good digital marketing strategy?
I think it's knowing what your targets are, having that clarity of direction. So knowing what you want to be and do as a firm, step one. Step two, then setting the targets. And I think I talked about the kind of cookie trail of content that, you know, get yourself in front of them, you know, have something of substance and will actually help them to draw them to, and then get them along, engage with them, and once you've engaged them, gain their trust. And so there's a relation. It's build a relationship with your client. And point 3 is then measure what you're doing. Use tools that allow you to look at the traffic of your website, look at the conversions, and use the data to drive your marketing effort. So if that's the kind of thing you've already done yourself, you're probably a practice excellence pathfinder, and we'd love to hear from you and see what your credentials are like in this year's awards. There's all kinds of categories to appeal to different kinds of firms and teams. You'll find the details at www.practice-excellence.co.uk. We hope to see you there.